Hello, welcome to my latest video. This is a brief sharing of how I chose my composition and the colors for this latest piece, Attempted Deceit. So I finished my beautiful painting, and it is truly multimedia. We began with the water-soluble graphite and then watercolor pencils and then gouache. I combined them because I wasn't getting the strength that I needed from the pencils. Now, we'll go along with all the stages in a moment, but I want to explain some of the tools that we have. And I want to explain how I used color to aid me in this composition. I've got four yard birds from all over the world. This is the Eurasian tit, this blue tit. This is the warbler. This is the European robin, and this is the orange-breasted sunbird. And one I chose what were two more natural in color birds, as opposed to two that were precisely colored birds, decoratively colored birds. Not that one isn't prettier than the other, but these look like flowers and these look like part of nature more. Anyway, it's like, these are the pretty ones that people make sculptures out of. And these are the ones who live beautifully and peacefully in their world. Now, then I have them set in trees with branches from two separate trees, coming from two separate directions, and they're intermingling. The branches are intermingling and the birds are intermingling. This was important to me. I wasn't sure in the beginning whether or not I was going to have a background. In the end, I decided the background was a must. Now, looking at this, you have to look closely to see the differences in the birds. I have a key on the back of these two birds because they're mechanical birds, but these don't have keys. These are natural birds. And the theme is discovering the enemy, discovering the imposter, discovering the spy, determining that you are not one of us. What are you doing here? And that applies to so many situations in life that it's virtually a universal theme, or almost a universal theme. And I like the joke. Let me share with you how I got started in this project with the composition. I started with four small birds, all about the same size. I printed out reference photos from wildlife reference photos, and I have the Eurasian blue tit, the winged warbler, the European robin, and the suncrest sunbird. I wanted to bounce off the colors, and I wanted to have a difference between a more refined bird and a more natural bird. So as you can see, the warbler and the blue tit are sleeker looking birds, while the sunbird and the robin look more natural in terms of their environment. But this is how I decided to lay them out for the painting that I was going to be doing. I started with the titmus, and I drew the image and shaded in water-soluble graphite, then glazed it with watercolor pencil, and doing the branches as I went along. After finishing my deceivers, I realized that the difference in the appearance wasn't enough, so I added wind-up keys. Did you miss them? There they are. Now, with the third bird, the robin, I turned his head around from the way it was facing in the reference photo so that he would be able to look at the warbler. All the birds and branches are complete. The positioning as well as the colors give the right weight to the images. We zigzag from titmouse to robin to warbler to sunbird. If we start at the sunbird, we go the opposite way. We move from color to color to color in a nice circle. The beaks will lead us from one bird to the next, from the titmouse to the robin to the warbler, and the warbler to the sunbird. And just follow the arrows on this painting. The background to soften the images of the birds and helps to draw them into the composition. Looking at the colors, the blue of the titmouse stays in the back, even more so because of the sky. The oranges of the robin and the sunbird are stronger. The main point is that when completed, the eye of the viewer doesn't leave the page. It goes from bird to bird to bird and back again in diagonal lines and circles. Separation. The branches come from opposite directions, but they also set up the step, first, second, third, fourth, so that it works well with the eye, which is important. When you're looking at, and by the way, I used Aquarello for Artistico Fabriano, and it's 100% cotton and it's extra white. You can use any of these color wheels. If you have issues with figuring out the color, I personally like the adventure. I love the adventure of deciding what color is right. That's me. And what I do is I remember red, yellow, blue. And I remember complementary green, orange, purple. And I know that when you do the complementary colors, or when you do the secondary colors, the opposite is always the color that's missing from the combination. And that's just something I learned in grammar school. So it's stuck with me. It was one of life's very important lessons for me. And I hope it was one of life's important lessons for you. Another thing you can have when you're mixing colors is when you're trying to work and see what you can do. Well, you can work with a minimum palette, a minimum or a limited palette like this. For instance, well, you put your ruler under there and said, oh, alizarin crimson. And you turn your ruler around and you bring it down and you say, oh, a cerulean blue. And you have this lighter magenta. And the color next to it is almost a garnet. For that one, instead of using the cerulean blue, you'll use the phthalo emerald green. So it's helpful if you know what it is you're looking for, but you're not sure what colors to mix. This is a great chart. It's called the Magic Palette. Did not cost me very much. They have a little instructions on the back on how it works, but it really is intuitive. And also a little caveat that all companies don't use the same names for their paint colors. But you start with your target color. You say, that's what I want. Then you go back and you see what you have to mix. And if you don't have just the right color, you can just work on getting a little bit closer, or you can order the color. If, for instance, you're over here on the level of sap green, well, from here to here, it goes sort of in a loop. They're all very much the same, this one the lightest, but you can get very close with these and add a touch of white to make it lighter or a touch of black to make it darker. You'll have to practice with this, but you'll practice. Thank you for joining me today. I hope this has been of some help to you. If you have any questions, please enter them in the comments, and I'll see you soon.